recording. So chronology of Indian literature, if you look into it, we will see that Samhitas belong from 6000 BC to 2500 BC. I am including all scholars here, Western and Indian. Tilak considered Samhita texts to be composed earlier than 6000 BC, because Taittiriya Samhita has evidence of constellations which belong to this time. So if they speak about constellations in Jyotisha of this time, then most probably the text belongs to that time. Or maybe text belongs to earlier times, we do not know, but not later than 6000 BC. In Taittiriya Samhita, that means Rigveda Samhita is much older than Taittiriya, because Taittiriya refers to Rigveda all the time, but Rigveda never refers to Taittiriya even once. So, and there are different scholars thinking in different time frames, up to 2500. Gonda, the scholar from Holland, thought 4500, different timings. Brahmana literature belongs from 2500 BC to 1000 BC. It was the first attempt, as Sri Aurobindo says, to recapture, to renew this knowledge, to bring it back in terms of rituals, to bring it to the society. It was ritualistically assigned to every possible activity or time of the life of Brahman. So Brahmana or Brahmin lived his life, and every day there was something to do in relation to the gods, to the mantras, to his relations with other pitris and seasons and sacrifices and oblations. So all his life was totally ritualized from morning till evening every day.
Excuse me, are you talking about the god Brahman or?
No, I'm talking about Brahmana as the caste, belonging to the caste of priests.
Oh,
Brahmanas,
yeah,
Kshatriyas.
Okay. Okay.
So Brahmanas is the literature, that means Brahmanic literature, which is seen as the commentary on Samhita texts. For example, there are many Brahmanas, Taittiriya Brahmana, Aitareya Brahmana, Shatapatha Brahmana, Kaushitaki Brahmana. All these Brahmanas are extensive literature, which is explaining Vedic texts, Samhitas, in terms of rituals, how to apply them, which mantra has to be read when, and how, and in which way, and so on and so forth. So Sri Aurobindo says this was the first attempt to recapture or to recover the Vedic knowledge after it was totally lost and forgotten. So we can imagine that in 2000 BC, the Vedic knowledge was lost, and was that was the attempt to recover it through this medium of mythical and ritualistic literature. All the myths, all the stories which we have in Puranas are coming from Brahmanas. Brahmanas were first who created those myths of creation, and even in our presentation we took it from Shatapatha Brahmana because it speaks the mythical language. And then, yes, and then there were Aranyakas, which are inbuilt into Brahmanas, and finally Upanishads. Upanishads are already the philosophical treatises. They are approaching everything from the philosophy point of view. That we have to know the meaning, understand what it is about. But there is a time span, the shift. So Sri Aurobindo says that Upanishads was the second attempt to recover Vedic knowledge, but already in the in its meaning rather than in its form of ritualistic application. So you can see also, yeah.
Can I ask you something? It's like for the Samhitas, the Vedic knowledge was carried out through chanting and mantra reciting. Was it carried out from word to mouth?
Right. It still is. Done. Yeah, in India it is still there in Gurukulas. They learn by heart without reading the text. But it is not, it is tradition already doing it, which is not Samhitas, it's Brahmanic tradition. Samhita, it was the play at the time when the meaning of the verses was alive, and it was the means of transformation of consciousness. So these hymns were to invoke and to bring down the divine powers into our, into our adhar, into our being. And this was not the case in Brahmanas anymore. It has a mythical connotation. It's a story, and it is a ritual which has to be done whether there is a result or not. So in accordance with the time, seasons, and with accordance with the year calendar, moon and sun calendar.
So in other words, in the Samhitas, they were in direct contact with really what they were talking about, with the spirit.
Correct.
Yes?
Yes, absolutely. So Samhita time is the as Shubhendu says, symbolic age, which belongs to that childhood of humanity, as it were, where the spirit was alive.
So they really understood what they were reciting.
Oh yes.
But afterwards it was lost already during the Brahmanas.
Yes.
Brahmanas, it was lost.
Yes.
And then it became just a ritual of repeating. Is that what it is?
Right, correct. So in Shubhendu's view, this was symbolic age, which followed by the typal age, and then it came to the conventional age. So this conventionalism is taking over slowly, Brahmanas. So this typal changed into conventional, and conventional led us to what we know as individualist age, or subjective age, the fifth one, which we are now in. More and more individualized consciousness. So from the more universal view to more and more individualized way of looking at things. Here we can see also what is beautiful in Sanskrit literature in the Vedic is that we have one language covering all the stages, from the ancient to the modern.
Yeah.
And that gives us a possibility to see it, to view it, to understand the shift.
Yes.
If it would be different languages, we would not be able to trace it, to see the difference. But since it is the same language, we can understand how the shift took place. So here we have four major shifts in the Vedic literature, and these four are considered to be Shruti, or Vedic canon. These four: Samhitas, Brahmanas, Aranyakas, and Upanishads. And you can see also the very idea of four Brahmanic ashramas, periods of Brahmanic life. Brahmin lived first, he was introduced to Brahmacharya period when he studied Samhita texts from 6 years old.
Can I ask you, when you say he, who exactly is it? Is it the Brahmin itself who is actually, when you say he,
person, the person.
Of course. Okay.
The boy, a boy of 6 years old was introduced to the Brahmacharya period. When he was 6 years, he was initiated into this period. And still now in India, they do the same. And at the age of after 25 up to 30 years, so 25 years he studies Samhita texts by heart. And then Then he marries and becomes grihastha. He comes into the grihastha ashrama, where he is a household. And he has for his family, and he makes oblations into the fire every day with mantras, but his major preoccupation is his family. So when his first grandchild is born, he is ready to leave. So 25 years he lives with his family until his grandchild is born. So once the grandchild is born, he is ready to go to the forest, and this is the period of Aranyakas. Aranyakas means the book of forests, in the forest. So there he is vanaprastha, left for the forest, where he, for the first time, he reviews all that what he learned by heart in his childhood, and his wisdom of life in the world. He puts them together into the perspective of reviewing it in a new fashion. For the first time, he asks questions, what it is all about. Only when he is 50 something, he is ready. After 50 or 60 years old, he is ready to approach this knowledge. It's quite wise. Yeah? First, you have to get it, the text. Second, you have to live your life in the world. And third, you are finally ready to ask some questions. So, and then Aranyaka's period, or Vanaprastha period, goes till he's 75, 80, so to say 25 years next. And then he is ready to engage into the questions of the most philosophical or spiritual kind, the Upanishads, and he becomes sannyasin, sannyasa period. So he is walking all over without living anywhere, and lives from begging, but he is always seeking to merge with Brahman, with the spirit. So this is his life. So his life was seen as the educational project. From the beginning, he gets the text. He knows text perfectly by heart. He doesn't need to carry books. He can read text to himself and gather from their knowledge. That is what's called svadhyaya, when you read text to yourself to get knowledge.
Excuse me, at that time they did not have books.
Yes.
No,
they didn't have books. Actually, Aitareya Brahmana prohibits any writing for those who study Samhita.
Okay. Right, yes.
So writing was there. It was used for other things, but the first written copy of Samhitas we find only from Sayana's time, and that is 14th century AD, because he was commenting on it, only because he is commenting. Otherwise, it's prohibited until now. Nowadays they read everything. It's mixed up. But in some gurukulas, they don't read. It's only by heart. They don't see the text. Which is much more precise. By the way, this I wanted to mention. And it's interesting that when European scholars came to India and they collected, they wrote down all Samhita texts from different regions of India, from the south, north, west, east, middle India. And when they compared those texts, they were totally identical.
Oh, yeah.
That means that oral tradition is much more precise than written tradition.
Okay, yeah, right.
It's quite interesting. It was a shock.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it like that, but
yeah. It seems that oral tradition, this audio memory, is much more detailed and precise, and also it is a responsibility of the teacher to whom he gives knowledge. So if he chooses a wrong person, it is his responsibility. He has to choose right person, and also this knowledge cannot be destroyed. The knowledge which is in the memory you cannot burn, as Alexandria was burnt, and everything is gone.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So there was a right decision not to write, to learn by heart and to recite. But for that, they had to spend 25 years learning text by heart, perfectly by heart. That means 25 years of the life of every single individual of Brahmanic caste was given to this. Yeah? All childhood, from 6 to 30, there was a rigorous discipline of learning texts by heart and repeating them until they are totally settled within you. And then this period of Brahmanic ritualistic life of the householder who is making oblations but living in the world as family, wife, children. And when his children have children, then he is ready to leave.
Okay.
And not to sit with children happily after, but to leave to the forest. To continue his quest, which he started from the beginning. So he paid his duty to the world. He created children, grandchildren, everything is fine, lineage is going on. Now he is ready to leave.
Right.
Very interesting system.
Yes. Yes.
So, and then from 800 BC, we have Sankhya and Yoga. Sankhya is the first shift towards mental structure of consciousness. We will speak about Sankhya in next presentation because it's important, that shift from pre-Sankhyic, from pre-mental structure of consciousness to the mental, the difference between the two.
Yeah.
And then we have all the literature, Itihasas, Puranas, Tantras, Darshanas, all the philosophical systems. And so now we live in this time of the mental structure.
The darshanas now?
Yeah, of course. Yoga, Sankhya. Sankhya is the same system. It's a scientific system. Yeah? We believe that the indriyas, the senses, are feeding our mind with information, and mind is gathering and synthesizing information from senses. We believe still that it is so.
Yeah. Actually, from that time to now is not a long time, really.
Yeah.
It's not very long at all.
Absolutely. From 500 BC, it's actually,
now.
it's a modern type. Modern type.
Yeah, it's modern, yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what was that Vedic paradigm, that Samhita, not Brahmanas even? We will look into it today, the most ancient, the most universal. So in the Vedic paradigm, the faculties of consciousness are seen as projected from the Divine Mother, Aditi, infinite consciousness force. The supreme emanations of that consciousness force are called Adityas, or the sons of Aditi, or her faculties, if you will. There are 7 of them: Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman, Bhaga, Daksha, Amsha, and Surya. Here they are. They are all faculties of Aditi. But it's also important the hierarchy. First Varuna, then Mitra, Aryaman, Bhaga, Daksha, Amsha, and Surya. So they kind of unfold the meaning towards manifestation. There was also 8th son, Vivasvat. And there is a myth about the 8th son of Aditi. She had these 7 luminous sons, and the 8th son was born ugly and with distorted limbs, without limbs, like he's called also Martanda, as a dead embryo, as if it was a miscarriage of some kind. Yeah, he was dead. And he, not dead, but he was not beautiful. He was ugly. So when they looked at him, Aditi looked at him, and with all 7 brothers, they left him being alone. But what is interesting in the name of Vivasvat, Vivasvat means luminous one. Now this Vivasvat was left alone, and he became the creator of the universe. It is very close to the Lucifer vision. You know? Lucifer is also luminous, huh? And he is also kind of fallen being which is not divine, ugly, left alone, cut off from the origin, from the mother, from the infinite consciousness. But he represents all the seven sons within himself. There is a hierarchy of them. It's quite interesting. Varuna is first, it's the divine being, as Sri Aurobindo says. Mitra is next, the divine consciousness. Aryaman is the divine force. Bhaga is the divine Ananda, bliss. Daksha Dakshamsha and Surya represent triple supermind of the oneness, many in one and one in many, and many. Manifestation of many, Surya. So all of them represent the transcendental being, which is embodied somehow in the Vivasvat. So everyone implies that the previous one exists. For example, Mitra requires Varuna. So for the divine consciousness to be, the divine being must be there. For the divine force to be, the divine being and consciousness to be there. For the divine bliss to be, all these three must be there. There is no Bhaga without Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman. Not possible. There is no bliss without being, consciousness, and force. There is no possible for bliss to be born. And the same here, Daksha, the oneness, cannot be born without these four major guardians of light, as Sri Aurobindo calls them. And Amsha, the many in one and one in many, the portion of one cannot be created if the oneness is not there. And the Surya cannot be there because all of these are not there. So every one of them implies is the product of the previous activity.
Okay.
So here Vivasvat is the product of all these seven Adityas. He represents all of them in the fallen universe, in the universe of darkness. There is another myth in the Rig Veda that the Titans, the Asuras, they stole the sun and hid in the subconscious cave. This taking the sun and putting into the darkness is this particular Vivasvat, the eighth sun.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So these four transcendental goddesses, Varuna represents the vastness of infinite being, Sat. Mitra, luminosity and harmony of consciousness, Chit. Aryaman, the power of the divine tapas. Bhaga is the bliss of the divine fulfillment, Ananda. These are the quotes from Sri Aurobindo, from his Secret of the Veda. In the Veda, we don't have Sat, Chit, Tapas, Ananda as we have in Puranas or Mahabharata or other literature. But we have these representatives of these beings. They are called, they are godheads. And these godheads are representing Sat, Chit, Tapas, Ananda of the later philosophical literature. These are the Adityas. And the triple status of Vijnana, or supermind, as Sri Aurobindo says, unity, many in one and one in many, and many. This is the triple supermind according to Sri Aurobindo. The unifying element, the diversifying, and the diversed. Yes, in the here, I will come. The three godheads of the supermind, Daksha represents the power of thought, all discerning and all distributing power of supramental consciousness. Sri Aurobindo's definition. Amsha represents the diversity of oneness supported by that unifying power of Daksha. And Surya or Savitar represents all seven Adityas and projects them into a lower creation, or lower hemisphere, as it were. His rays represent the diversity in the domain of Svar. We will talk about this later, immediately, of what is this, the world of the rays of the sun. So not the world of the sun, but the rays of the sun. So for the rays of the sun to go out, there must be something out, some darkness there, which will split the body of the sun into the rays. So the darkness is to pervade the light and create the rays. So 7 sons of Aditi again: Varuna Sat, Mitra Chit, Aryaman Tapas, Bhaga Ananda, Daksha supramental knowledge force, Amsha supramental many in one, and Surya Savitri supramental manifestation. It's interesting that when I watched the scientific presentation on TV about the sun, how the light is being created in the physical sun, then it seems that from the nuclear, these gamma radiation, which is the most harmful and most powerful, full of energy, is produced from the nuclear of the sun, and then it moves through plasma. But plasma is nothing but those gamma radiation twisted by the gravitation of the sun. The gravitation is so strong that it does not allow the gamma radiation, which is very powerful, to get out. So it is in the body, it is brooding, yeah, it is moving back and forth. It is not letting it go, and it creates that plasmic world of high temperature. And the gamma radiation lives there before it is released from the sun 1 million years. 1 million years it is held within until it creates that burning sun. And then when it loses its energy, it reaches the surface. And from the surface, it can be released when it is becoming less harmful for the world. So we get much better, weaker light, which is good for us, which is creating life on Earth. If gamma radiation would come, well, there would be no life on Earth.
Directly, yes. Okay.
So there is some wisdom in everything. What I want to say that sun, that bringing to birth that light has stages, physically also, and maybe in some way descriptive of the process of the spiritual birth of the light, in manifestation. So to get this one more view is that Aditi has a sister, a twin sister, Diti. Aditi is infinite, undivided consciousness force, and Diti is dividing consciousness force. So there is the light and dark mother, as it were, and they are working for the same, but one is projection of the other in the darkness. So Surya is projected into Vivasvat, which is hidden within the darkness of the inconscient by the Titans. So all of these have their own projection into the lower hemisphere. So if I take Varuna, Varuna will be the matter, the material inconscient consciousness, where the consciousness is involved. Inconscient means involved to the extent that it cannot be revealed. We are not aware of ourselves within that being. It's like a black hole which is not permitting light to come, pulls it back to itself. So we have that black hole with super. So that is the outcome of Varuna. Varuna is not only the supreme divine existence, but also this material existence of inconscient. So all the grades of being, from the highest divine being to the material, is Varuna's domain. Everything what is represented by Varuna. And consciousness in the same way, Mitra. Mitra is the consciousness from the divine luminous consciousness to the most inconscient being, all the grades, on all the levels. The same with Aryaman, force, from the high divine tapas to the most blind energy. And Bhaga, from the greatest bliss to the most deepest suffering, as we spoke. So these are the first emanations, but which we mentioned before in the mother's story, but in the Vedic language. The same with the triple supermind. It is projected in the triple over mental consciousness, which is projected in the triple mental consciousness and vital and triple physical. We will speak about it in a minute. So the rays of the sun thus build up the luminous planes called in the Vedas Svar, the plane of the rays of the sun. It has three luminous realms, three rochanas, which thus project the highest three realms of cosmic mind, called Tisrodhyavah, three heavens. Three rochanas, three luminous realms, Tisrodhyavah, three heavens. But interestingly, Dhyavah is also luminous one. So Svar is luminous one, Rochana is luminous one, and Dhyavah is luminous ones. Sustaining the three spaces of the vital realm, which are called Trini Rajansi, or Tri Rajansi in the Vedic language. Three burning ones, again luminous ones. Yeah? Rajas is this flaming or shining, three shining realms of the vital domain. And these supported by the three foundations of the physical, Tisro Bhumich, three physical realms, three earths. So we have three earths, three vital realms, three heavens, three luminous realms beyond heaven, and triple supermind. And beyond it, we have Satchitananda, triple transcendental. I'm putting everything into the scheme. If you look at the scheme, it covers all possible realms. Oh, wait a minute. I have to answer this. Yes, Gair. Hello. How are you? Yeah, I was doing the class. I was in the class, and then I. Okay, I will call you. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. If you look at this scheme carefully, you will see a very interesting thing. That supermind, with its triple supermind of unity, one in many, many in one and many, is projected in the three rochanas, in the triple supermind, which is, according to Sri Aurobindo, is supramental overmind, and intuitive mind, where supramental overmind is most unifying, overmind is diversifying, and intuitive mind is already many diverse intuitions which are flashing down into our lower hemisphere as Indra's lightning. Then you will see the same here. You will have mental more unifying consciousness, vital diversifying, and physical is diverse, totally diversified with all possible diversities. In the physical realm, there are no two things equal. Yeah, you cannot find the same things, no same fingerprints, the same pebbles, the same leaves on the tree. There is nothing which is same in the physical, but there is a more diversifying vital realm, and there is more unifying mental conceptual realm. And you will see that the same triplicity is seen in every one of them. In the mental mind, there is more unifying element, vital mind more diversifying, physical more diverse. In the vital, the same. Mental vital is more unifying, vital diversifying, physical vital is again more diverse. Mental physical, that the mind of the cells, is more unifying. The vital is diversifying, and physical is totally diverse. So we can see that how it is interwoven. So what is being seen here is something unique, is that physical is the part of the supramental. It is that diversifying element, diverse many, which is finally embodied, finally revealed, manifested. So there is no physical without mental. There is no physical without vital. Yeah? Because this is the tapestry of the same vision, of the same force. So in this view, you could see that the physical is an enterprise of the spirit. It is a part of the spiritual. It's not different from it. It's just diverse element of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, moreover, what is interesting here, if you look into the chakras, when Mother describes, she says there are not 6 chakras or 7 chakras, which we know, but there are 12 chakras, and I will come to it in a minute. In the Veda, they speak about these 9 realms, 3 times 3, as Navagva rishis who realized all the levels, 9 rays. So 9 different levels of consciousness were realized by them, and in order to get into Svar world, into the beyond, they need the help of Ayasya Rishi, or Rishi who will invoke Indra, and Indra will break the ceiling with his lightning and bring the 10th element, which will lead them to Svar world. Now, to come to the Svar world, to the next triple Trirochanas, they have to break away from this Navagva consciousness. Navagva means 9 rays. And they become Dashagva rishis. They become the rishis of 10 rays. And this is breaking through to the supramental, or to the Svar world first. And that is the major story of the Angirasa rishis, how Navagva rishis became Dashagva rishis, how they overgrew the manifestation of these 3 triple realms and became aware of the Svar world, of the intuitive mind. Mother, when she speaks about the chakras, is quite interesting. You can see immediately, if you compare also Savitri, read, you will see that Sri Aurobindo in the world stairs, he travels from level to level. And there you can recognize all these levels. Yeah?
Yeah.
One by one, you will see them. He will be speaking about the vital realms, about the mental realms, about the greater minds, little mind, the godheads of a little. So you will see all these beautiful descriptions. Actually, one can study the whole Vedic vision on the ground of Sri Aurobindo's second book. Because he gives an experience and perception of those levels. Also, when Mother describes this chakras, I noticed that mental mind in Sri Aurobindo will be in the self of mind. He describes this experience, how Navagva rishis become Dashagva rishis, when he says that when you realize the self of mind, you have the total silence, so everything is understood. You reach the top of things, you see everything, you know everything. But then suddenly, he says, the luminous finger falls from above, and that is that Indra's action. And everything you knew looks totally false. So you thought it was right, and now you see that it is totally wrong, because there is a proper, pure light, which is not involved, which is breaking through and showing you what is what. So that is how Navagvarishis become the Shagvarishis. And in the self of mind, it is that what Sri Aurobindo identifies as the illumined mind. And the vital mind will be the higher mind, and the physical mind is the proper mind, our universal mind in the manifested universe. So vital mind is the vitality of the mind, so to say, which is beyond the universal mind, and there is still a higher mind, which is, so these three, illumined, higher and proper mind, reason, are here in the mental realm, these three. And then we have three vital realms, that is our basically, these are the three chakras. Sahasrara first, mental mind. Ajna is the vital mind, the will power. And the expressive mind, which is the Vishuddha chakra, where the expression, mental expression, is taking place through speech. Articulating the mind in terms of manifestation. And in the other chakras, there's Anahata chakra, the emotional chakra, mental vital, which is different from vital Manipura chakra, which is purely this impulses of feelings, whereas the emotions are higher, Anahata is higher. It is already painted with the mind, with the concept. It is made beautiful. There are emotions. These are not just feelings and impulses of the vital. And the physical vital, which is Svadhisthana, below the navel, it is the chakra of Svadhisthana, where all the nadis come together into 172,000 nadis flow into one center. And that center is the center of all the sensations. So we have sensations, feelings, and emotions. Here they are: mental vital, and physical vital. And then below we have mental physical, that is Kundalini chakra or Muladhara chakra. And what is interesting, Mother says that there are two chakras below Kundalini, Muladhara chakra. One on the level of the knees, and that is vital physical. And one is below the feet, and that is physical. Now we have interesting view. We have 9 chakras here up to Sahasrara, mental mind. But Mother says there are 3 chakras above Sahasrara. And these are Trirochanas. Here they are. And that would be the intuitive mind chakra. And then there is overmental, and then supramental overmind, the closest to the supermind. And that is our being. And then there is supermind, transcendental to us. This is a profound knowledge, by the way. I don't know that anybody is even aware of this, that Vedas are speaking the same language. Because this knowledge Mother brought from her own occultistic tradition. She was educated in in the Chaldean tradition, in the Semitic tradition, and she knows about this. By the way, in Semitic tradition, they have also these, and they speak about 10 sephiroths as the tree of life or tree of knowledge. And these 10 sephiroths, in some way, describe similar process to these 10 levels of consciousness here. Dashagvas and Navagvarishas. Very interesting. But they use different language. If you studied occultism, you will see that it is very similar, though it is not the same. Similar in the same movement of thinking. All right, we may stop here for today. This is a good place. It's a lot of information. And we will continue next time. This presentation is to be finished. I made the whole article on this, and it was published in the Foundations of Indian Psychology in 2 volumes. So I will send you the article. It is kind of finished and easy to read.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Great. So let us close with a mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you. See you next Sunday.
See you. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Vladimir. Thank you.